Hey, did you hear the news? Are you eating taquitos and drinking cherry Coke at 7 in the morning?
Yeah. So?
Look, I'm an adult now. I can do whatever I
You're
want. 18 years old. Okay. You still live with your parents. Look, you don't need to rub it in, okay? Fine. Anyway, what were you gonna tell me? Okay, look. Tool released an album. I already told you I don't review music anymore. I don't review albums, nothing. I thought Morrissey already released an album this year. No. Not a Tool released an album. The Tool released an album. Wait. The Tool? The Tool. Tool? Tool? Tool. Tool. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, welcome to a new video. In today's video, we will be talking about the latest album from Tool, Fear, Inoculum. It has been 13 years since Tool released 10,000 Days, their last album. 2006 was a year. Can you remember what you were doing in 2006? I remember what I was doing in 2006. I was going to kindergarten. I was going to kindergarten in 2006. 2006 was a different time. Look, they've been gone for a long time, and no one has really been at it with them, right? Oh, Tool's gone, last album, 10,000 Days. We reckon that. But Tool fans, they don't. They love Tool, and they know this is not their last album. 10,000 Days wasn't their last album. Year by year, they noticed Tool hasn't been dropping music. It's been 2006, 2007, you don't usually have back-to-back year releases. 2008, 2009, usually a time Tool comes out. No, 2010 maybe. 2011, 12, 13, the years went on and Tool was reluctant to release an album and release their albums to streaming platforms. It only took them until August of this year, the beginning of August, to release their entire discography onto Spotify, Apple Music, name it, it's on there. So, what did we get with Fear Inoculum? Well, for you guys, you got me back, because I'm excited to listen to this, and you got Tool, being Tool. This is Tool being Tool, the complex time signatures, introspective lyrics, and idiosyncratic styles that are just screaming Tool. And after a 13-year hiatus, would you want to come back and reinvent the wheel, or would you want to come back as someone who is very familiar with the past self? Would you want to come back as someone who is almost the same person, just with a couple attributes that are different, right? I mean, you wouldn't want to come back and have a completely different sound, a completely different style, and completely forget about old Tool fans. You wouldn't want to do that. So going into this album, I expected this to be a normal Tool album, and to make sure I understood what Tool was, I listened to their previous albums. I normally listen to a good amount of songs prior to reviewing an album, prior to listening to an album even, and I kind of want to understand where an artist is coming from. But when I heard Tool was going to be releasing an album, I knew I had to go into their entire discography, except the Opiate EP. I didn't listen to that, but nevertheless, I listened to everything. I listened to Undertow, I listened to Anima, 10,000 Days, Lateralis, that infamous review. Let's talk about Fear Inoculum. What do you get on Fear Inoculum? Well, you get Tool, and I said this before and I'll say it again, but you get Tool being Tool. Time signatures, lyricism, guitars. You get a lot more guitars, a lot more Adam on this album. I think the lack of Maynard kind of is bittersweet. Like, I like Maynard as a vocalist. He has very unique vocals that sound so organic and so natural. I think the one thing that makes it different with Maynard is that it's a metal album, it's a metal outfit. They're not screaming. Of course, metal has this large thrashing kind of sound, but this is progressive metal. And yeah, I'm not really big into metal. I'm just gonna be honest with that. So just know I'm listening to this with kind of like a naive experience into metal, but metal, thrashing, think of metal outfits like Slayer, Metallica, Pantera. When I think of metal, I think of radio metal. That's because I've only heard radio metal my entire life. But again, progressive metal is different than regular metal. That's all I know. So going into this and going into any Tool album, you obviously have to expect guitars, bass, drums. Vocals though. Vocals were the one thing going into any Tool album, especially Undertow. Going into Undertow at the beginning kind of shocked me a little bit because wow, the vocals aren't loud. They're not in your face. They're not up front, but you can hear them. And the instrumentation is also heard as well. It's almost like they're even. And I like that about Tool, especially on this album as well. Fear Inoculum has probably one of the best examples on this album. Also Tempest, which is stylized with like a 7 as the T. I've also heard a lot of theories running around that the number 7 is very prominent in this album. And I'm not going to go too much into that. I kind of want to base this around the music and around the instrumentation and the lyrics, all that. I don't want to go into theories about this album being blah this and blah that, 7 this, 7 that. Yeah. You can explore that. There's also other videos that you can watch on YouTube that explore that idea perfectly. But I'm going to go back to reviewing the album right here. The one thing I can say as kind of a critique of this album is that it's not as exciting as the previous releases. They did bring something new to the table with this album. However, sometimes when some of the songs transition into those like interlude tracks, the third track, Chocolate Chip Trip, Mocking Beat, they really just seem like filler tracks in my opinion. They don't really have a direction, they don't have a style, they don't have a course to drive on. Almost as if it's like a race car driving in sand. It's where are you gonna go? How are you gonna get out of this? What is this point? What's the point of this? I think the third track is honestly, in my opinion, one of the worst songs Tool has laid to tape on any album so far. However, I will say Tempest is one of the best songs Tool has laid on to any tape thus far. And let's talk about the lyrics for the moment. While sometimes you do have to keen your ear and tune it very finely to understand what Maynard is saying, once you understand everything, it's very organic, it's very nice, it's very profound. And that's one thing I loved about Tool's, or especially Maynard's lyricism, is that it's thought-provoking, introspective, and profound. It's only exacerbated by his vocal performance. I'm not one to ruin song or albums or how they work, so I'm gonna let you listen to Tool's Fear Inoculum, but all I want to say is that what I would change about this album is the fact that the intermission tracks, in my opinion, like 3 minutes, the 4 minutes, all of that, were more stylistically adherent to the longer songs, the 10-minute songs, Fear Inoculum, Tempest. This album would be perfect if Tempest was the last song on here. Mocking Beat just seems like an extension, filler. Doesn't seem like it's all much part of the album, just as like the third track doesn't feel like any part of the album at all. It just seems like this weird detour that they took. Here's the last part of this review, the last leg of this long and very drawn out review that seems like it was more filler than nothing, but I digress. I love the instrumentation. I love the guitars. I love Fear Inoculum, the title track. As a single, it wasn't satisfying enough, but as an introduction track, I think it only brings you closer to like, okay, this is the start of the album, and once we go further more, it's gonna get better, it's gonna get bigger, it's gonna become better. A lot of these songs have great build-ups and fantastic closings and very amazing harmony between each and every one of the band members in here. This is probably the most harmonious the band has been in years, and that's even like all the way back to like Lateralis and Am I saying that right? Undertow, Anima, they really work together very nicely as a band. And I think this right here is probably some of the best they've worked together in a long time. And I love that about it. I can tell they feel happy with what they put out. I can tell that they love what they put on this album. And I love what I'm getting from this album. It's enjoyment, each song after the next, with a few hiccups. I will say a few hiccups here and there. Mocking Beat, the third track on here, I can't even pronounce that. Is it French? Overall, take those songs out and you have a great, fantastic Tool album. But overall, Fear Inoculum as it is a great comeback, but it could use just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. I'm feeling this album a strong B+. A strong B+. It can make it onto my year-end list if every album I review after this album is not as good as this album. But seriously, I really was debating on whether or not giving this an A- or B+. I think a B+, in my opinion, is the highest I will go in giving this album. But just know, strong B+, light A-. And with that said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this album down below. Let me know what albums you want me to review next, and that is it. Now, before I leave, I'm going to explain a couple things. One, I've been gone for like a month, and I had to take a break. I had to take almost a mental break. It's been a long time. I had to kind of put myself back onto track. And I want to do this again. I'm going to be committed more. And I want to go all the way till the end of the year, at least. At the least go to the end of the year. And if I don't want to do this anymore after the year's over, then I'm going to stop. I promise this time. But for now, I'm back. I'm going to review previous albums, don't worry. I might talk about the Bon Iver album, Ginger. I'll talk about Lover. I'll talk about Lana Del Rey decided to release an album on the same day Tool released an album. I haven't listened to that yet, but I will definitely talk about the albums that were really big. And I will talk about Chance the Rapper as well, and Young Thug. Alright, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. Look, you don't need to rub it in, okay? Fine. Anyway, what did you come out of the